ready for this?
Hello and welcome to Game Club. Today, Between Two Castles of Mad King Ludwig. Join us as we, basically exist between two castles of Mad King Ludwig. Join us as we play and review. Right, first up, we're going to unbox our usual fun. Here we go. Right, superb. So in front of us we have Between Two Castles of Mad King Ludwig. Our box is pretty neoclassic. To be fair, it reminds me of something that you would see Rainier Knizia would have produced. I don't dislike it. I think it works for the theme thematically, and it's quite nice because obviously it relates to what's going on. Problem is, it just seems quite a sort of dull box, although to be fair, the sort of player or the sort of person who will be playing this game, it will target perfectly. Just note, 3 to 7 players, ages 10 and up, 45 to 60 minutes. Always good to have a game that lasts a bit longer than usual. Inside, we have our booklet, which is pretty, looks like almost like a tome actually. Then we've got our scoring sheet, we've got our cards. Box can jiggle around a little bit, but we've got then our explanation cards. We've got our castles, and inside we have our base, another base there, and then all of our tiles. Wonderful, we always love a good tile. So now join us as we will then play and then review Between Two Castles of Mad King Ludwig. So usually at this point I would go through a kind of walkthrough of the game just to show you the basics, but in front of you here is actually the Stonemaier Games Rules and Translations FAQ, and they have a very good video which is from our friends at Watch It Played, and I'll just zoom in and I'll click there just to show you. The reason that I think this is probably a better option is because I think that Watch It Played are the masters at effectively telling you how to play it step by step. And the game is, if not complicated, it has quite a sort of major level of sort of complexity to it that it needs to kind of handle in a way that is a step-by-step sort of play. I'll just, if I'm going through my vague Game Club-esque review, I would say the following. Effectively what happens is each player, so say for instance we're just doing an example, you have 3 players, you would have 1, 2 and 3. Obviously they would be sitting further apart because you need quite a bit of space for this. Each player will get one of these cards which are literally a lifeline for this game, and then what you do is you choose, each player will choose 9 cards from here for instance, and then they will look and pick 2. They will then effectively have to place those with their partner into their particular castle, as well as their partner playing into theirs, and obviously then this partner will play with theirs, etc, etc. And what you're doing is you're trying to build the biggest and most point scoring castle, which doesn't have some of the issues, i.e. you can't have half sort of placed. You have to make sure that there is a bottom, i.e. there's a floor to the one below you, and also you have to make sure that it works sort of coherently together, because you score, and I don't know if you can see this, so effectively the bottom of it you have your scoring, which is explained here, but also explained is what is the room. So for instance this Z room is obviously a sleeping room, and this arrow here suggests that it has to be built above this. This is the throne room which everyone has. You also get your castle, and what happens is that once you've chosen your 2, you then put your castle on top of it, saying that it's been chosen and done, and then what happens is the next person who's to your, so effectively clockwise, will take 2 cards from there, and you take 2 cards from the person next to you, and effectively that's the game. There are this bonus, basically when you build 3 gardens you get one of the fountains. If you build 3 I think bedrooms you get the tower, and 3 hallways you get the grand foyer, etc. And if you build certain things you get this building bonus, and then you get these courtiers as well. But as I said, I personally think that if you want a really good walkthrough of it, get the experts to do it. Don't get me to haphazardly do it. I'm as always with Game Club, it's a case of I'm trying to review the game for you to tell you what I think of it. And if I can, I'll give you a quick walkthrough just to give you a flavour of it. But I think this game really needs a sort of elongated walkthrough because it is quite complex in the sense of there's a lot of processes behind it. I know there's probably going to be some complaints about the fact that I didn't do a sort of long walkthrough, and I'm going to sort of starve those off straight away by saying this, that Game Club is really about reviewing games and sort of suggesting to people who may want to play them whether or not they're worthwhile playing, and also then pointing out some of the kind of content sort of options here and telling you whether or not we agree with them. So that said, as I said again, Stonemaier have got Watch It Play to do a fantastic walkthrough. It's absolutely brilliant. I think it's really the place to go for that. The game itself, I kind of under sort of sold the game by showing you what it does, because I don't feel that I can give it that justice, because it really needs a longer, more complex walkthrough that is point by point. What I can give you though is a review, and I would say that this game is a blend of the two particular games, that is the Castles of Mad King Ludwig and Between Two Cities. It takes the best components certainly of Between Two Cities and some of the bits of the two Castles of Mad King Ludwig and makes a pretty solid game. There are some issues. I particularly was concerned that the two-player version is not very good because it really needs 3 players to work in a kind of cohesive way because of the way the rounds are structured, which I didn't mention really sort of effectively, but once again, go and watch the walkthrough video. It makes more sense because you will get to see it. What is also a problem is that there's this thing about age 10 plus. I think 10-year-olds will find this game very confusing. I think they will find, because of the way the point scoring is, most 10-year-olds will probably become bored with it and not really want to play or engage with it. This needs someone a bit older, someone a bit more into, particularly into scoring games, and particularly into games where you have to really think about working together for the logistics of it. The other thing is that I do think that there is this sort of idea which the game itself says sort of time limit, sort of 40-60 minutes. I actually found it was quicker, because once you played it once, you kind of got to understand how the game works. You kind of rolled it out quickly. There are bits of it that are a bit annoying, like for instance the bonus bits, especially when it comes to, oh, you built 3 gardens, now you've got to whack in a fountain, because it feels kind of haphazard. It just feels like an unnecessary element to it. However, I can imagine that people who are very pedantic about scoring will be very hot on that, and maybe for them it probably will be the biggest clincher as to why they want to play the game. For me, it was just an irritant. That's my personal opinion, and you know, I stand and fall by it. However, some of the good things about the game, and there are some really quality bits of it, the scoring, particularly the fact that you score on your lowest castle, is very good, because what it does is it forces you to have to cooperate, and I really like that, because my issue's always been that a lot of games force you to be, you know, that classic game theory-esque approach where it's very suicidal, it's very singular, it's very self, and this says no, we want you to balance that with working together as a team, because you are effectively making judgment calls as a group. You know, it's 2 people and then 2 other people as well, so you're not on your own, and that can be both a blessing and a curse, but often I actually found it a blessing, because you're working together and you're making sure you modify in a way that is constructive and also beneficial to the bonus scoring. The other thing I like is that I do actually think that the card that comes with it is very well put together, and it is an essential component. Without it, the game would not work at all. And in fact, actually, you are recommended to, and I think it's in the Watch It Play video as well, to look at the booklet and look at the back where it's got the outline of the cards and what the bonus scoring of that is. That is secondary. I don't mean to be fair, you can kind of work out what the cards are saying. Without that little card though, the one, the player reference guide, you would basically be in deep water and you wouldn't be able to float. You would just sink to the bottom, because the game needs that, because without that you can't refer and you can't have logical conversations. And in fact, actually, that is a master stroke and something that I really think is to be commended, because it's clear and it's well crafted, which is sometimes a rarity, although Stonemaier, having played some of their other games, are very, very good at this. The other thing I liked as well is I think that inside the game there is enough variety with the tiles themselves that the game becomes quite sort of free flowing and fun. But it did annoy me a little bit that when you sort of unpacking it, it's not explained that you want to randomise those cards, those little sort of token tiles, because the problem is then people end up batching them together firstly. So the first play, you're basically pulling out batch stuff, and it's a bit like, oh, what the hell. So I would say enormously to basically take all those tiles, shuffle the hell out of them, bang them back in there. Not in the yellow pot, because they are both the reversible side ones. You don't touch those, they're going to be the same. But it is those other ones that, you know, you need that. Overall, I would say Between Two Castles of Mad King Ludwig is a very good game for people who like strategic games, but also like to work together in strategy, and like games where you build things in a beautiful, harmonious way with a bit of a sting. It's also a game for people who really enjoy a sort of 40-minute game where they can kind of play together but still be a little bit competitive. And yeah, so that was Between Two Castles of Mad King Ludwig. Very long name, but well worth playing and well worth buying if you get the chance. I'm Simon, and this is Game Club, and thank you for watching.